All right, well, welcome. The first one was not a success, so we'll try it again. It's IMCA Dirt, what do we call this? Dirt Cast, Dirt Vision, Dirt something?
Cast.
Yeah,
You
it's the
forgot
IMCA
already.
Dirt Cast. Well, it's been a
forget
couple of
that?
weeks since we
He
did
just
this.
reminded you like
You
2
should be
minutes
fired
ago.
for saying that.
Okay, gotta go. No. Oh, that could drop. You gotta be hired here first, don't you, to get fired?
This week in IMCA racing.
Ooh, yes. This last 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's been
Has it been that long already? I got some
At least
positive
2 weeks.
feedback on the first
We did too.
podcast.
I heard a
had
lot about it in Texas.
some emails. I had some Facebook messages, some ideas that people wanted us to talk about.
I was out in town here at the bowling alley a couple of weeks ago. I think I had 10 people come up to me talking.
Okay.
About it was crazy. Yeah.
I had people from. I did have some far away, and I had some close people and some far away people. That
I did out of the people that I talked to, the memorable moment was the grass fire. People liked the grass fire story.
was that? Oh,
Yes, it was.
You see, I can't go back and watch the podcast. I don't know what Nate posted. I know it was posted.
Are you incapable?
But I just there's people that say that, like actors that say that. Not that I'm on camera professionally. You guys are used to it.
I don't like watching that stuff either.
I don't like watching myself talk. I find it at times I'm like, oh, that's why people don't like me. You know what I mean? The kind of the moment like
Well, you didn't have to come on a podcast. I could have filled you in on
Yeah,
all that.
we have a list. Let's. I brought it with me this
You ever
week
think
too.
you talk funny? I mean,
Yeah.
Do I really sound like that? That kind of stuff. But anyhow,
Yeah,
let's
so
start.
So you're
let's
telling
start
us
out.
you don't remember telling the people about burning the pasture from
I
here to
don't,
the
know
DOT
I don't remember
show.
how much I said.
Oh, you need to go back and watch because it was very enjoyable.
It was an impressive fire.
and they don't want you to mow their grass.
We could also let's just start this podcast by talking about the memo that 3 of us got and 1 of us didn't.
Yes, this is my most favoriteest hoodie.
Look at that.
Look at this.
That's
see?
actually my favorite hoodie.
Nate is even wearing this. We all have the same apparel budget. That's free from IMCA.
And
I
apparently-
I pay for these, but they're still free.
Where's yours at?
Mine is
Buttercup?
home in my dresser. As RuPaul would say, I understood the
He's
assignment.
usually
It's
got it
not to
on.
be like any of you.
Oh, yes.
When I put this on this morning, I thought, is Ryan going to wear this? And Ryan's the only one not wearing it.
Yeah. I actually was, I was unpacking from being in Texas, and it was the first hoodie on top. So I just grabbed it and wore it.
My apparel is, my choice of clothing is pretty simple. If we do a podcast every Monday for a year, I'll probably be wearing almost the same outfit
That's the
every
way I am.
Monday for a year. I put a hat on this week because I thought I looked like I had a big forehead last time.
Did you get to
You were
50?
only
Oh, Did
49.
you get to 50 head?
I did. I
Did you
think
get
when
where it came back just a little
I
bit?
turned a year older. I am now officially half a century old. And my hairline apparently shows it, in my
Yes.
opinion. I look better with a hat, I
But
think.
apparently, to make yourself feel better, your Facebook post was
My wife's-
50's a new 30.
Yeah, something
Okay.
like that. My wife says I have a 5 head.
Oh, she's not lying.
bad.
Not
She's
a
not
forehead.
lying.
Take your head off. It doesn't look
She
that
says
bad.
I have a
does it?
5 head. I don't think I comb
Yeah,
my
because
hair
a
today. I'm not
forehead
gonna
comes
take
to
my head off.
here, and a 5
I
head
don't want to talk
comes to
about
about
receding
here.
hairlines if I
Right.
can avoid it.
She gauges the forehead by how many fingers you put on your
Yeah.
from your eyebrows
See, right
to
here,
your
4.
hairline, and she said, "You have a 5 head." I'm like,
See,
"Five
that's like right here, Nate.
Some people
See?
have a 2 head; their hairline's really down a little far. That is not
See?
me.
I have a forehead.
But anyhow,
Yeah, I don't
so we can talk
No,
about something
you
important.
just got some stripes, or
got hair here and there.
Let's talk about racing.
Okay.
I got to do
We
4
had-
days of it. Abilene. Went to Abilene for Friday and Saturday of the icebreaker.
Yeah.
And they didn't break the ice in Abilene. They set the ice.
Skating on it.
You have to have some
man.
fun weather down there.
Yeah, I've never been afraid of the ice before until you get stuck in ice in Texas.
But you've been to Abilene before.
Oh yeah. No, that was my second trip there. That's a fun trip. We had a great time. Rob and Libby, great show down there, the icebreaker.
Abilene is like on what I would consider to be almost on the edge of the earth. Because
Well,
when you
it-
start
it-
getting out to Abilene,
it's
you
the
go
first
much further past Abilene. I really do think maybe that there's an edge there where you
It's
can
the
just
first
drive right
part
off
of
it.
West Texas, though.
Correct.
So
It gets pretty barren out there. Tumbleweeds and
Mm-hmm.
oil rigs, whatever they call those things that pump.
I get confused driving around Abilene because I had to go pick up Super Dave one night for dinner, and it's like the roads just make a big circle,
They do.
and it's crazy because it's never the same way.
It's weird.
Like we were literally, I thought,
big
10
circle.
days away
It
from the
is.
racetrack,
So
and
you come back to where you started, or what?
pretty
it's like-
much.
But all big
I've
cities
never
are
been
like that now. You just get in the loop.
Oh,
You
yeah.
You just go around like 235 or not 235, whatever that one goes around the south side of Des Moines. That's the one I always skip around. Des
Oh, you
Moines
go
one.
235 through downtown?
That's middle. The other one that goes
Oh,
around.
5, the bypass.
There you go, whatever.
Yes, that goes by Carlisle. And
It's the bottom one is what I call it.
Yes.
But anyhow.
It's the 5.
No, Abilene, I didn't go to Abilene this year. I went last
We missed
year
you.
to the Icebreaker.
A lot of people asked where you were at.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You said it was your birthday and you felt old and you had to stay away.
That's all true.
I mean, I wasn't lying. I didn't want to lie to the
You
folks.
didn't lie.
No, it was a good time. We had some great. I mean, that little place is it produces some great racing.
It does. I think Abilene, I've been going there since Tommy Simons had the place in maybe the late 90s, early 2000s. I'm not sure. I can't remember when Rob and Libby
I think they've been there 5
over
or
Abilene.
6 years. I
They've
think.
been
Or
there
no, maybe
longer
it's,
than
no,
that.
10. I think it is
Yeah,
now.
probably closer to 10.
Yeah, I think Rob's been in Abilene probably almost 20 years now.
Yeah, it is because him and I were talking Saturday, and he said it was starting year 20.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I've been to some races at Abilene that are cold, hot, all kinds of climates, and I think Rob has done a fantastic job as of the last 5 or 6 years. You know, he's got his racetrack really figured out. I think took that backstretch wall off. For those who've never been to Abilene, were you ever there when that?
No, I never watched a race there, but I saw how it went. Like the racetrack went down the backstretch, like off of turn 2, and then went and then here.
Yeah, it's like somebody just accidentally put the wall over about 10 feet too far on
And,
the racetrack.
and if you missed it because you had to cut back down.
Yeah, I've seen that wall eat some race cars in the many years I've been there. I think a lot of people have seen that wall eat race cars, and Rob fixed that a handful of years ago, I think.
3-4 years ago, I think it was.
Yeah, which I think widened his racetrack out a bunch coming out of 2, and I think it just changes the way the racetrack race is. And he's done a really good job with figuring out his track as much as anybody. He's been doing it for so long, so it's one of the benefits.
Yeah, we got down there Wednesday night, and then Thursday, of course, it rained. Or Wednesday night into Thursday rained. I was like, I didn't rain that much. Well, the thing of it is that old red Texas dirt. Holy good! I think I still got red tires on the van. I washed it 3 times and drove through 2 ice storms.
Rule of thumb in Abilene: do not wear anything white
No,
unless you want it to be like orange
or rust color.
rust. There you go. That's a perfect. Correct.
So when the dust blows down there, it's just red or what?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do not wear your best pair of tennis shoes to Abilene because he waters like a lot of racetracks. He'll water the staging areas and some of those things, keep the dust down when it's blowing, and whoo, you'll never get that orange stuff off your shoes. You'll wear it for years.
Yeah, we had to battle the. It was during the day it was nice. It got a little cold at night, but that wasn't the worst part. Apparently the Air Force Base decided, even though it was a burn ban, they were going to do some control burns.
Yeah.
And it's south of the racetrack.
Yeah, it is.
And the wind was blowing north.
Nice.
We literally, it looked like during one of the stock car heat races on Friday night, it looked like one of those foggy Supernational Thursdays.
Like that
where you
big
couldn't
bonfire
see-
in the North Field.
And it was just like this haze. And it was like,
Well, if you had a controlled burn, this is the year that Brett should have gone down there. He's the controlled burn master.
yeah, they could have used you.
I'm more of an uncontrolled burn master. So, but anyhow,
I think these guys were professionals.
we're not going to talk about my field
Fire?
fire.
Yeah, fire.
Nice. While you were
So then we went from there. We went to the Icebreaker.
Yep.
And then did Friday
to
night.
Waco, didn't you?
Yeah, then we went to Waco, went down to see Selby down there.
Selby.
Had that was just a beautiful facility down there. That's what's neat, we get up here and everything up here is usually a fairgrounds facility. It's either it's a big half mile at one time or a short quarter. There's, unless you're TMS or Devil's Bowl, it's no bigger than a quarter mile down there. And it produces just some great, Waco was some great racing there Sunday night.
You just about described every state in the United States when it comes to racetracks.
But as far as in
most
Texas,
of our tracks aren't big.
but they're more private. It's not like it's like Abilene wasn't on a fairgrounds.
Correct.
Every place we went wasn't like a fairgrounds, like going to a Columbus Junction or a Marshalltown or an Independence
Unlike Iowa,
or a
which
Vinton.
most everything is fairgrounds.
Yes.
The private stuff is a lot less popular up here for whatever reason. And in Texas, it's the other way around. I don't think there are no county facilities.
I don't think so.
In the state of Texas.
All I know that's at the state fairgrounds is a Cotton Bowl, because I drove past it 14 times and finding things to do in Dallas while we were icing. But then, so that was a great show there
to
at
Mesquite then, too,
Yeah,
right?
we went to Mesquite to Devil's Bowl. And of course, if you didn't get to watch the races and you want to go back and see them, you can buy the replay pass.
Replay. A lot of people don't know about the replay. I don't know if we push it
I think we should, because that
bunch.
part of that money goes back to the racers.
So we'll cover it real quick. IMCA TV. If you want to watch live racing, you want to watch a live event that's broadcast on IMCA TV, it's going to be a pay-per-view model. We let the racetracks, and we work in conjunction with them, but we let the racetracks somewhat decide what that pay-per-view amount is, usually around the price of a pit pass to watch any live racing on IMCA TV. But if you don't want to watch, if you don't want to pay that, some people get stuck on the subscription models that are available in other sources, but we like the pay-per-view model better for our facilities. We think it's more fair for our racetrack promoters. If you don't want to do that, you can buy the replay subscription. All of the IMCA TV and our affiliates, right?
Nate.
Affiliates as well.
You can't talk back.
Done Right. I'm just trying to name a few of them.
Advantage, low budget.
They're everywhere.
Dirt Oval. I mean,
Darn TV up in
Darn
North
TV.
Dakota.
I mean, there's all over the place.
You can watch all of the affiliates, all of this stuff on IMCA TV. It's usually about 5 minutes after the event is concluded. I think they turn around and throw that on the replay subscription, and then you can watch it on a subscription model for
30 days.
Yeah, I think it's on there. Is it just 30 days?
30. Well, I mean, you could go buy another replay pass.
Gotcha.
30 days later and watch whatever you want to watch.
Sure.
I mean, it's everything. But yeah, so you've got,
Yep.
if you buy it tonight, you got 30 days.
You just can't watch live.
No.
So.
And that's what you're seeing right now, I believe, right?
Oh,
Nate?
yeah. Nate's got it through.
There's Nate scrolling
Oh.
through.
We don't.
I thought
Oh, no,
maybe
that's
you
right. We got a
took
TV
right
screen.
down
So
here.
right there.
This
when
one's different than those. There's a lot of
A
screens.
lot of TVs.
Nate,
in there.
the producer Nate's kind of slacking on it.
We
So
need
I
more
mean,
walls.
so right here, what you're looking at on the screen is everything. If you buy the replay pass, and a lot of when you buy the nightly subscriptions, Nate, shake your head, yes, come with a replay pass, or they're selected. Some of them, don't they? Because I think.
He's switching headsets.
Oh, he's switching.
The replay pass is just previous events. So, but if you buy a live pass, it's for that event. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. So if I bought the Lone Star Stock Car Tour package, didn't it give me 30 days to go back and watch those again?
Just that event.
Just that event,
Correct.
yes.
Yep.
But out of all that stuff you saw in there, you can watch
Gotcha.
that all for $30.
Cool.
Yeah.
Racing was good in Texas.
It was great. I mean,
Stock car racing.
what do you, I mean, that'd be like saying.
Every once in a while, there's a stinker stock car race, but most
Not
are
very
not
often.
stinkers. They're
No.
pretty good. Those rules are good, and the racers are good. Very competitive. Kenny Schrader said to me one time, it was at 141 last year.
Yeah.
He said, man, these stock cars, everywhere I go, it's like watching Talladega. He said, you could throw a blanket on the field in these things everywhere.
Has he raced one
racing.
before?
I don't think he has.
He has.
Anymore, you just see him in a modified.
He's pretty dedicated to the mod. We see him at the IMC and mod stuff. But, yeah, he said every time he watches a stock car race, every race he's competing at, he said, them things are just extremely competitive, put on fantastic racing. We tend to agree,
Yeah.
obviously.
I would.
Most fans do as well.
Yeah.
I mean, we're impartial to IMCA stuff here, obviously, but that IMCA stock car stuff has just been,
Lights out.
yeah, for sure. While you guys are in Texas, you want to talk weather? Kind
I mean, other than the weather, and that was
unfortunately.
the thing. Everybody was kind of nervous with the weather going down there. But we had I think the first night we had, I mean, between the two nights, I think we had 60, 65 race cars, stock cars. We had good. The first night we had 6 heat races. The second night had 5. We gained some, we lose some, but it was still a great deal. And they'd made the announcement that even though with the impeding weather and what was coming, the full payout was going to be paid. Jason Rogers went home with $5,000 championships check off of 2 races because they said, hey, here we are going to pay this. You all paid to race. We're going to pay you and thank you. What was great was it ended on one of those notes to where we want Tuesday was a questionable day. They'd got a lot of rain in the Mesquite area. It had taken some time to get the racetrack ready. The racetrack would have come around, but where you pit, and a lot of people were like, well, it would have been getting into the pits. I mean, just the haulers that went in when it was dry, they were, the ground was soft and it was smushy, so it was very...
There's more to dirt track racing than just a
Exactly.
dirt
So
track.
it would have been pretty tough to get everybody in the pits, and the racers that were there understood it. And then we had a little gathering and a party, which ended up being a banquet on Wednesday night, and all the every contingency prize was handed out to people in attendance. There was a perfect attendance award given away, which paid $4,000 cash. $5,000 to win
Yep.
the championship. So it was a great deal.
Sniper
And
John does a great job with that tour.
Yes.
He has for quite a few years. His wife Jill, I think, probably does a better job.
Yeah, I think
than
she
John
does most of it.
I think so as well. They do a good job,
Yes.
and paying out those point funds and doing those kinds of things says it's a commitment. It says a lot, I think, to the racers that support it.
Especially after the ice storm canceled it last year, the entire
Exactly.
thing, I think. So you come back and you try it again, and
You're
you're bitten by the weather bug again.
They have been beat up down there. Everybody
Every
thinks
year.
Texas racing in February is warm compared to Iowa, obviously.
Right.
Well,
It's
may not have
frostbusters.
They may not have snow, but it's still pretty cold. But when they get snow and ice down there, they freak out down there. I've been caught down there in a couple of days.
Well, they're
They
not
have no
used to it.
equipment to
Yeah.
get.
No, well, I think they have more
To clear
now
the
because
roads.
because like
It's
Tuesday
like the
when-
Wild West if it ice storms down there because people who are out, you're like, okay, where's this guy going? What's he going to do? Because they don't know how to drive in it like we do up here.
Tuesday
True
there was
story.
signs, it was like 65 degrees and there was like, I can't remember exactly how it worded, but it was worded that they were warning people we're treating the roads for ice. They actually brine the road. They brine the roads. They've got salt. They got a ton of sand. But what was amazing was from Tuesday, and then we ventured out a little bit on Wednesday, no traffic. I mean, it was bumper to bumper on Tuesday, but on Wednesday, I mean, like here, we get some snow and ice. People go out and just, because they're bored. No, down there, it went from 120% packed to 2 cars.
Now, didn't you drive in bad weather on your way back? Or were you clear the whole way?
No, we were actually clear going down. When we got to Abilene, we started into the thunderstorm that was coming. And then on the way back, the Texas roads were actually better than the Oklahoma roads.
Oh, yeah.
Because, if you watch the local news, they said the right lane will be cleared.
Oh,
Don't. Who's that?
Sorry.
That's the guy, yeah. The right lane will be clear. The left lane, don't drive in it because we're not treating them at all. And we got to Oklahoma. There was a definite. I was out there in the old hammer down lane, just and then
A
back
lot
in.
of cars in the ditches?
They must have done a really good job of towing them out because we didn't see too many on the way back.
Or they just weren't out?
they just weren't out.
No.
That's a treacherous drive coming north. If you're going through a storm that's from Texas all the way to Iowa, crossing out of Texas through Oklahoma, I've done it before. I don't. It doesn't scare me. I've been on a couple of times. My wife would attest for this. We've drove in some very poor conditions coming back north before, and it's been scary.
Well, I just know guys.
Haven't ever crashed. Haven't ever went in the ditch.
Guys that
come
left
close.
Thursday when I thought about leaving Thursday morning, they left like at 6 a.m, and I think they got back to Ames like at 8:30 or 9 o'clock that night, and it's a 10-hour drive.
Yeah. Well, you guys were down in Texas in the cold weather. I was in Florida. I went over to the RPM workshops.
Oh, yeah.
We annually participate at the RPM workshops, both in Daytona and Reno at the end of the year. Daytona's always during speed weeks, and Reno's always usually in first weekend of December.
Did you bring us back any sand and seashells?
No.
That's all I wanted.
No.
Sand and seashells. That's
My
all I
daughter
wanted.
wasn't with this time, so we skipped the seashells in the sand. generally speaking. But even Florida this time of the year is not as it's better than Iowa weather. I mean, I can't complain, but it's not as warm as one may think. It's
And
still
they think it's freezing cold down there at the time.
yeah,
don't they,
it's
the natives?
it's still jacket weather and hoodies in the evening, and you can freeze down there if you aren't, depending on which way the wind's blowing. But had some races down there. I went to RPM last year. I went to Henry County for our first ever ModLite sanctioned event, where Jimmy May has the Sugar Bowl.
Sugar Bowl.
Sugar Bowl Nationals at Henry County, and this year we had a great. I mean, we doubled the car count in 1 year, which if I'm going to say anything about Henry County, I wasn't there. I was last year. I flew down later this year, so I wasn't able to get down there because Henry County is like practically in Miami. It feels like Miami when
It's
you're in
down there a
Orlando.
ways.
Yeah, I fly to Orlando generally and stay there, and then driving down to Henry County. It's a long ways down there, but had 70, 71, 72 mod lights, I think.
72.
Yep. Had a
Guy
great
from Tennessee won it.
guy from Tennessee.
Yeah.
A Tennessee guy.
Ronnie here's the neat stats about that race. Tennessee, California, Missouri, Illinois, Maryland, Iowa, New York, Ohio, North Carolina, Missouri, Ontario, Canada. We're all those states and Canadian provinces were
and there
represented.
you have it. There you have racers say to us, why ModLites. You know, around here, a few tracks run ModLites, not all of them, but you will have people that don't see ModLites, and they'll say, well, ModLites, why ModLites? That's why. Look at the different states they're doing business in. It is much bigger than what some people think it is.
They're everywhere.
Yeah, they're not just they're not what the dwarf car used to be years ago.
Correct, and it's only going to get bigger, in my opinion. So why are we involved with ModLite Racing, and why we form an alliance with Jimmy May? That's why. You know, Jimmy's got good staff guys that help him at some of those big specials like that. They travel with him. They're a team, very close knit bunch of guys that do a great job teching those cars, and you know, I think just going from, I think we had 30, 35, 33, something like that last year, up to over 70 this year. Hopefully the ModLite guys see how committed we are to that division. You know, if you're looking for some warm weather, Hendry County is pretty much filled that void for the ModLite guys in the month of February. So, and I think that'll be an annual. There's talks of that just continuing to get bigger and bigger, which is very cool. What else we got going on here?
Well, what'd you learn at the RPM workshop?
Did you do some teaching?
Okay. Now,
did you learn or did you teach?
We in this room know what those are, but for like the average just podcaster watching, tell us what's the workshop?
I think Speed Sport broadcast the event. I believe. I think you had to actually
buy
it. I think.
I don't remember if there was a price or not, but Speed Sport TV did broadcast a number of the workshops.
Yeah, they were there broadcasting. Chris was there. Kurt, some of the guys that I'm familiar with, I see because they help us obviously all the time here with our IMCA TV stuff, and then they also help at the Super Nationals. But an observation about RPM, you know, I think Joe Skotnicki's doing a fantastic job. Joe, a former employee here, I know Joe. He's been in the industry for many, many years. He overtook the RPM workshops a couple years back. And I think, Joe, I thought the attendance this year was much better than last year. And these are just, from our standpoint, they're positive signs that we see in the industry. The racers don't see these things. Some racers attend the workshops because they're also promoters. But generally speaking, it's a non-racer event. And so when you see more promoters at an event like that, to me, it says that that's a positive sign. You know, so you see Hendry County with doubling in their car count. You see the RPM workshop in Florida with I would say there's probably double the attendance if I had to guess. I don't get that information, but I thought it was very well attended, and I think Joe Skotnicki and everybody at RPM deserves a great deal of credit for what many of us think is kind of turning that deal around. So, but what do I learn there?
Did you learn to anybody? Of course, RPM stands for Racers Promoted Monthly, which used to be a newsletter that came out, and it's where promoters go to see other promoters.
Yeah,
and
they talk concession stands, and they talk insurance, and they talk ticket sales, and some
order of events, and how do you run your show, and what works good, and things like that.
Yeah, we obviously attended on our behalf as a sanction. We tried to pick up business there, and you know, it's more for us. It's more of an opportunity for us to see the many people we do business with as well. It's whenever you get a group of promoters together, it's a place we tend to try to be, much like racers putting big events together. You get a bunch of racers there. We try to show up to those events as a sanction because you get more bang for your buck when it comes to having conversations with the people you need to talk to, your customers. So no, I thought RPM was good. I don't know if I personally necessarily added any knowledge to the workshop. I mean,
but people saw you there. I think that might be just.
They saw Virginia.
No,
she wasn't there.
I went alone. Actually, I was there with Carson.
Carson. Yeah, we're gonna meet the new guy next week.
Yeah, IMCA's new
marketing director,
marketing integration and sponsorship director.
Integration.
Yeah, isn't that a fancy word?
Ooh.
I think it fits him well. I think Carson is a very, very good addition to this staff here at IMCA, to our team. I think he's going to fit in very well. Obviously, he has a background in racing. Most who know his name know what that is. So, you know, having him come over and work for IMCA and try to make this association bigger and better I think it's a fantastic step in the right direction. So, yeah, I think we'll try to get Carson on a podcast. I don't know, here in the next week or two. He's going to be in the office next week. Maybe we can throw together a podcast and sit Carson in front of the camera. Maybe throw Jim in. So
Jim's going to be here too?
Yeah, Jim's going to be here.
That could be. Can you add extra microphones and more cameras, Nate?
I got to keep switching headsets.
Why? What happened? Does
I'm just trying to keep myself
occupied?
separated a little bit. We can add one more microphone.
Okay.
I can add more cameras, but I don't think we need more cameras.
So you two are going to have to share next week.
We just thought we'd kick you out.
Oh, okay.
Or not invite you.
I'm okay
or
with that.
something. So
yeah, Carson's a new hire, new addition to our staff. So I'm excited about that. He's going to be the guy that's working on sponsorship programs, contingencies, helping us market IMCA better, doing things like podcasts and just any electronic shift that we're starting to see people make. We're trying to make it too. We're a little behind the times. We're a little slow. We're a little slow at times.
I mean, we're old.
I'm not the smartest guy in the shed, or the sharpest tool in the shed. So it takes us a little bit of time to get caught up.
But hey, now you're an all-star. Get your game on. Go play.
Oh, is that a music? Who sings that?
You would have to
I can hear
ask
it,
me.
but I don't know who
I
it
can
was.
too.
You want to ask the millennial?
No,
You want to ask the millennial?
No, because I've seen it in concert. They played Ragbri in Sioux City about 10 years ago.
Smash Mouth.
Yes,
Smash
thank you. I
Mouth.
was
That
just
is
getting
it.
ready to say it.
That's it.
Smash Mouth.
That kind of leads us into some newsletter discussions. We had talked about getting rid of the newsletter.
No, because I got yelled at in Texas for the newsletter
I think
going
we've
away.
all been yelled at on
Please
the
tell
subject
me.
a
So,
little bit.
do we have some breaking information?
Well, we're gonna continue the newsletter. We're not gonna get rid of it. We're gonna continue it. We'll run it through the end of this year. I mean, it's I could go in great depth about newspapers and publishing and the specifics on how it works, but it's going to bore the crap out of everybody. The bottom line is that newspaper industry in general is not very
Healthy?
I think people see that. I think how most of us consume our content. I personally don't get a newspaper sent to my house.
I don't remember the
can't
last
remember
time I had probably 10, 15 years ago. It's
Yep.
been a while.
Magazines have kind of survived that a little bit, or at least slowed some of that down a little bit.
Yeah, the magazine is still a tangible object, I think.
Yeah, it's produced. It's better paper. The printing's good. The pictures are
Color
better.
pictures.
There's a lot of things. Well, you can do color in a newspaper. It just doesn't print as well.
No.
And so when it's blurry, people they complain. But we're gonna keep doing the newsletter. We'll try to do it through the rest of this year is our plan. And if we transition out of it, we'll do it in a little less abrupt way. I'll put it that way, if that makes sense. So we're gonna have the newsletter. So those few people that reached out to me and asked specifically about that, or to the people that said something to you in Texas, we're gonna hang on to it for a little while.
They were worried because they could not scrapbook without the pictures. And they like to put your articles in there too. They like to read they like to read your column.
Yeah, birdcage liner.
Mine's actually Firestarter, but
For us, the newsletter has been a very effective tool, and it's where our racers go for rule updates and columns and things like that. It's been our way of distributing that information for decades. So it's hard to get rid of it. It's a hard
Not everything
decision.
happens in the off season that's important. Sometimes you have to pass along something during the racing
Correct.
season to update.
Yep. As you
that's
well
what
know.
Facebook's for.
Yeah,
But everybody
well,
says.
they're true.
Yeah.
A lot of those stories on the newsletter are put online.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Race results. You go back to when all of us probably started expressing some interest in racing, and
I waited
we didn't have social media. We didn't have cell phones. I don't even think.
Thursday.
I think I got my
Hawkeye
first cell
Racing
phone
News
in like
game.
97.
Do you have a bag phone? I had a bag phone.
I had a flip phone. I had one of those phones that opened up, and I bought the really destructive one that took dirt and stuff.
Oh,
Because,
yeah, like the Microtel or whatever it was.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you could literally take that thing and throw it against a wall, and it would still open up and call.
And then they had those ones, because I sold them back in the day. They had the one that was like the fake flip phone where it opened, but it was like not the flip just covered the thing.
Yeah,
But mine was original. Mine was a bag phone, 94. It's an original bag phone.
nice.
The
think I had
big battery in it, like
Like the
that
18,
big.
I think I had
the
40
18
minutes.
one.
That was a brick phone. I remember the first
Gray
time
one.
I remember the first time I ever saw somebody with
Vanilla
a,
Ice rolling in his 5.0 with that thing.
Robert Lawton always for years had a brick phone.
He did.
I remember that brick phone forever.
I mean, you have to have a briefcase to carry
I mean,
the phone.
you didn't know what was bigger, his radio or his the cell phone, because back then, I mean, they were both the same size.
put it on
You get 40 minutes, and it's 40 cents a minute if you go beyond those 40
Yep.
minutes.
And you couldn't put it on your hip because you couldn't get through the door if you were carrying it.
Exactly.
But anyhow, so yeah, so we're gonna hang on to the newsletter for a while. We'll try to get a little bit better about emails and columns and get some of that stuff on our website. We're just trying to transition. We like to use podcasts like this to talk about rules, things like that. Whereas in the past we've never done anything like that. So, and we could talk a little about that. I mean, Dave is the rule guy. Dave's the best to talk about the rule guy. A lot of people ask me rules questions and how do we arrive at what we do, or what are we going to do about Hoosier tire shortages?
Oh, is there? I hadn't heard a thing.
I hadn't heard nothing.
Apparently, you cannot buy a tire in the United States.
What?
Oh,
We better talk to Continental.
I don't think it's quite that bad.
No.
In fact,
Although that was, I mean, in Texas, that was a topic of conversation, was tires. And I go,
it was a topic in RPM as well.
yeah, I mean, I think it's a topic everywhere, and people kind of, with what happened this weekend, with another sanctioning body that has major league races. How can they have tires, but we locals can't? A lot of it's the manufacturer. It's how many tires they can produce. There's so many things that go on in behind that a lot of people don't know about. That is the reason they can't make them like they can.
Yeah, the pandemic obviously is kind of started the hiccup, and then we got into some labor issues.
Mm-hmm.
We got into some supply issues that just kind of magnified the problems toward the middle to end of last year, and those seem to be still persisting for most tire companies from what you read, including Hoosier. But they've made some progress. But what they have not done, or what they're not doing, is going back to the way that they were distributing tires initially. If you go into the beginning of last year, they would pre-sell tires to the distributors. Their distributors would distribute them to their dealers. And if you wanted 10,000 tires in January, you could buy 10,000 tires in January if they had them. The problem with that is it needed to be a little bit more selective on where those tires went and when they went to different parts of the country. Like, for example, right now, there's really not a lot of racing going on in North Dakota or Minnesota. They're still servicing their dealers up there, their distributor, Hoosier North, and then they're still servicing those dealers up there. They're just real cautious about how much of that they're sending up there when there's no racing going on, because there's really, generally speaking, when there's no racing, there's no consumption. So if they send them up there, what they're trying to avoid is guys in Iowa, for example, going up into Minnesota and buying all the tire supplies from Minnesota, or the guys in Nebraska coming over to Iowa, or Iowa into Nebraska. They've got a very good distribution network at Hoosier, and they're very good about it. But they're trying to make sure that they hit their marks on people having tires when they need them. If you preload that like they did last year, it creates the hoarding situation a little bit, where the tires were there, but who had them? Well, one racer had 100 of them. It's really not necessary for most of our racers to have 100 tires when they go to one race.
Yeah.
Now for a season, even then, you're talking a very rare racer that's buying those kinds of volumes of tires. So the guys who want to buy 2 tires at an event, we want to make sure that guy has them. Those are the average and the most, and from a number standpoint, I think our most average racer and the majority of our racers are that type of racer. So Hoosier's trying to time it a little bit more. There's a term for it.
They're
right?
being proactive instead of reactive.
Yeah.
Because that was the deal. There was,
we're going to have tires.
Yeah. We got to Abilene and they were like, well, what do we do for tires? Well, there's a parts truck over there. Well, they said did you go talk to them, or did you just hear that from somebody? Well, no, I haven't been over there to check, but Hoosier Southwest said, you'll have as many tires as you need to make the events work, because we have the tires. And just like you said, they had tires because that's where they're racing. It's no different than, you can buy some sort of product in a grocery store in North Carolina, but you can't buy it in Iowa because it's seasonal.
Right.
Same thing.
Yeah.
And you got to look at it that way.
Right, and time distribution, I think, is a technical, manufacturing term.
It's like buying Little Debbie Christmas trees in July. You're probably not going to get them in July. But November, December, stock up because they're good. Yeah, so I had to put it in the...
That's a very good comparison, Jerry.
Girl Scout cookies, too.
Yeah, correct.
Buy them now because they're selling them.
I bought some of those.
Me, too. Did you get some, Ryan?
I have not.
Well, let's go get some after the show.
What's your favorite ones?
I'm a peanut butter kind of guy. But the new brownie ones, the brownie caramel ones.
I've always liked I think they were originally called Caramel Delights.
Oh, they got that gritty coconut in them.
They do. They have like that stuff on. I've always liked those.
Those
and
called Samoas before? Or those the ones that were?
Something like that. I think they changed the name.
I like all of them, of course. I like anything that's...
I call him Snackles in the office. That's his nickname, Snackles.
Hi, Snackles. How are you?
He is snacking nonstop.
I know.
I was
in the office waiting for you, and he had like 4 drawers open.
I didn't even have... You brought the candy into my office.
I mean, I bring all of my daughter's extra Halloween candy in here and dump it in the candy thing, and it's gone. I'm like, who's eating all this stuff?
It isn't me.
You're not... Yeah.
Nate says he is.
Oh, Nate, yeah.
I'm not much of a chocolate guy myself. I might eat chocolate every now and then. But
You'll notice he says Halloween, so he's been rationing it out. He knows he can't bring it in here all at once or it'll disappear.
Maybe.
Yeah.
We got Easter and some of the other...
Ooh, Peeps. Peeps are coming right on there.
I'll pass those.
I like Peeps. Remember that time we did that experiment during Super Nationals? I left a thing of Peeps all week in the sun and in the rain.
I don't remember.
Probably didn't change, did they?
No, they didn't. I think I still have them. It's the racetrack.
It's like the McDonald's French fry in the container that they put in. It just sits there for like 20 years and doesn't change.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you eating? But Peeps are good. I like Peeps.
I do too.
I like marshmallows though. So
I like marshmallows. Peeps, too much sugar for me. I do have a sugar level.
you have a sugar. Well,
Did he just say that?
Yes, I have a sugar level.
Sugar limit.
It's about right here.
Sugar.
What's the next topic on your agenda, Brett?
We pretty much hit all the
Birthday
marks.
parties. Let's talk about birthday parties. Did you have now your birthday party? Was it like 30 people in the surprise, or was it just tell us about your birthday? I mean, it's a big one. It's 5-0. I'm not there yet, so I want to know what to expect.
My wife wanted to plan this elaborate birthday party. My wife likes having parties.
Yeah,
I'm not a party guy myself. I've had some good parties over the years, but my wife throws really good parties. She threw a great 40th birthday party for me. We had a great 40th birthday party for her, which would have been just like a few months ago. But you see, I'm 10 years older than my wife. So my 40th, I'm like, I can't hardly remember it, my 40th. But she wanted to have a really fun 50th, and we've been traveling a lot.
Your wife was at my 40th birthday party.
Pardon me?
We had my 40th birthday party at the Iowa State Fair, and we ran into her at the depot.
Really?
Yeah.
Was I with her?
No, that's why she was having a good time at a party. Ding dong.
Because she knows how much I like to go to the state fair. I'm like, listen, it's hot. I'm going to sweat. No. I just want to go to the air-conditioned building and eat those chocolate chip cookies with the milk. That's all I want to do. And then it seems counterproductive to
the bucket of cookies?
Yes. Carry up cold milk out into the July, August.
The state fair is in August.
Yeah, the state.
Always around my birthday.
Carrying a milk, it just,
That's why you just get a big beer.
Yeah, no. Okay. I usually have to drive home from the state fair, so I try not to drink.
Because she had a big beer?
Go on rides with my daughter. No, she's not. No.
All right, back to the party.
Back to the party. Didn't have one. I just turned 50. It's just another day to me.
You were traveling, though. You were just on your way back from Florida
somewhere
for your birthday.
I mean, did you stop and have like a nice
That's why I didn't
meal?
go to the Icebreaker, actually. I've been going to the Icebreaker. It always falls right around the third weekend in February, which is my birthday.
That's when it always is.
Yeah, so I was told I could not be out of town this year for my 50th, and so I think we spent the day doing something, exciting. I think we sat in the basement and watched television. That, to me, that's a vacation, to me. I enjoy sitting in my basement and not necessarily associating with anybody. Is that terrible?
I'm
kind of introverted like that.
I enjoy sitting around the house occasionally, but not in Texas being iced in.
Nobody wants to hear about my birthday on a podcast, for crying out loud. Let's talk about something else. I'm old. That's why I wore my hat today, so I don't look
quite Captain Fivehead over there.
Yeah, exactly.
Arr.
Racing is going to start we're going to start picking things up. It's starting to warm up here today. It's like about 60 degrees outside. And
Bobby Lincoln had a practice on February 27th at US 30.
Isn't that crazy?
Had like 70,000 cars or something. I mean, I think there was like 30 or 40, but it was crazy. And he even said it, and I saw Bobby in Texas ran into him at Waco, I think it was. And
Did he have his dog over his shoulder?
no, I said Mesquite. I saw him at Mesquite. That's where it was.
Did he have his dog over his shoulder?
No, he was in the truck though. I think he was.
The last time I saw Bobby Lincoln at a race, this is a true story, Grayson County a couple years ago.
Oh, yeah. I remember. We were there.
He was down there.
Yep.
I'm going out the grandstands in between like an intermission. I think I was going to get my coat. And here comes Bobby Lincoln. He's got this like 75-pound Labrador.
Oh,
I think it's like a yellow lab maybe, isn't it?
You know,
Retriever.
now that I think about this, I don't know if the dog, I don't think they've still got that dog.
He was carrying that
I
dog.
remember seeing him.
He was carrying that dog over his shoulder, and they were like, it was like this. I was like, why are you carrying the dog? Oh, he likes me to carry him, and he's drinking Mountain Dew. My dog likes Mountain Dew. Is it dogs drinking the Mountain Dew out of the? I swear
That might be
it's
one
like
reason they may not have the dog anymore. Jim.
No, I think I'd have to clarify it.
I
but-
like Bobby Lincoln.
Oh, Bobby Lincoln,
He's
that's great people.
Yeah, he's just one of the nicest guys you ever meet in racing. You know, but that's just one of those stories that I walk away going, did that just happen? He's carrying a dog over his shoulder. He's giving him Mountain Dew, and he's taking it into the grandstands at a racetrack.
Yeah. And then he has a practice on February 27th, 2022.
Anyhow, yeah, back to racing's starting to pick up. We got the Spring Nationals at Beatrice coming up. We got racing.
So you've got the Spring Nationals, the 11th and 12th. The weekend after that, you've got the Southern Stampede at Southern Oklahoma. Then let's see, you go to a lot of racing after that. Where there's Batesville starts up on the 24th, 25th. The Dirt Crown out in
Ardmore.
Nebraska. You got Ardmore starting their weekly stuff. I mean,
lots of racing.
we all think, from right now, it's about 5 weeks till we start racing in Iowa in April. But I mean, there's places that start this weekend.
Yeah, I was looking around the schedule today that we have had turned in from the tracks across the country. We had 5 sanctioned races in 4 states this weekend, and that increases to like 30 sanctioned races at a dozen racetracks by the end of March. And then by the end of April, we've got almost 75 races at 25 racetracks or 25 states across the country.
Yeah.
So it's going to pick up quick.
It just goes.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I had to put my schedule together for Nate, and I couldn't believe you don't realize it till you start timing. I think the biggest year I had, for some reason, I kept track of it that year, 137 races. I either announced or flagged or whatever back in the day when I was 4 nights a week. And I was like, man, I'll never see that again. I mean, if nothing would rain out this year, I'm 107 races.
Yeah.
And it's just crazy. It's that you don't think about it until you start putting it on paper. How many times? And, that's when you start seeing guys you walk in their trailers at the track and they got their schedule. And it's like, here's where they've been, here's where they're going. And they got this line where 50 is. If they're racing for a national championship, then it's like, okay, now we need to focus here. So it's crazy how much racing is actually out there when you sit down and look at it in black and white.
I penciled it out one time. Everybody asked me, how come you don't come to this racetrack? Or how come you don't come here? And how come you don't go there? I try to go everywhere. I've tried over the years be to all the racetracks. I still haven't been to all the IMCA sanctioned racetracks that we do business at. And I've been doing this since 97. I think one year, I penciled it out because I told myself I'm going to get to every single racetrack that we sanction.
I don't think you could.
As quickly as I possibly can.
In 1 year.
As quickly as I possibly can. And the year that I penciled that out, I think it would have took me 12 years to get to every one of our racetracks at that point that I did it. And I know now we sanction probably another 40 events at different racetracks now. So when you look at their individual schedules, the nights they operate on, the states that they're in, the options we have, it gets very challenging. It's very challenging for us.
Like the sprint car series now, we've got 100 racetracks with sprint cars, and 80 of those are 1 or 2 events a year through special series. So it would be
correct,
almost impossible.
It is
to get to all of them.
Nearly impossible, especially for a group our size. I mean, we have 10, 11 full-time employees. Maybe add another one here or there if we can this year to help service our racetracks. But even at a dozen people, it gets very challenging to get to everywhere we would like to be, for sure. And I think also everywhere that the racers or the promoters want us to be as well. So we do our best to try to go where we can, except for you, Jerry. We try to keep you at home.
Then why did you make me go to Texas?
Because nobody else.
Because we all need a break once in a while.
Because nobody else could go. It was my birthday. I couldn't go. That's the only reason we wanted you to go.
Second best, I guess.
Third.
Fourth. Just thinking about this.
I've already seen you more.
You talked about 13 full-time employees, but I was with Bill Martin today and looking through some of the great history stuff. Do you realize in 1915 there was only 1 full-time employee at IMCA, and that was the executive secretary?
What's your title?
And the
That's my
executive
title.
secretary had to maintain the schedule, had to keep track of the race tracks that they went to, points, membership fees, and then also contracts.
Did it show you how many tracks were sanctioned?
So in
1950?
comparison, you're saying Ryan is extremely underworked compared to 19.
Exactly, because that was like every fairgrounds track in the country.
I'd like to know how many tracks they actually had events at and how often those tracks held events. Did you get that far in your research?
It didn't go that far in the article I was reading, but I think
You're just picking out what you wanted.
Do you want me to go get it and read it aloud?
No.
To the class?
Oh, that's all right.
Okay.
I would be curious to know it though.
Well, we vowed not to take a 90 minutes to do our second podcast, so let's just kind of wrap it up.
Like a
How about a
Christmas
summary?
present? So a summary
Wanna
is
tell a
this.
joke or
How long's it been? How far into this are we? We need a clock up there yet.
It's
That was
It's only
4:20.
it's only like about 42 minutes.
Yeah, it's been over a half hour.
Yeah.
And I don't know what a good number would be. I don't know if there is such a thing like
So the summary was there was an ice storm in Texas.
Brett went to Florida.
Brett
for his
went to
birthday.
Florida for his birthday and was officially got 5 head.
no seashells.
No seashells.
He hired a new guy that we're going to meet next week.
Yeah. And Jim will be here too, possibly. And Ryan did not.
The newsletter is sticking around.
Yep, newsletter's sticking around.
Hoosier tires are being made.
No, you don't say.
They are. Inflation still sucks.
Yeah. Trust
mean-
me, it was like $3.42 a gallon today.
I mean, I'm telling you. If you
That's
wanna,
what we
if-
really ought to be complaining about. Don't complain about not having tires. Complain about not being able to have the money for tires because you can't afford it because gas is $3.72.
That's just it. If you want to talk about something that is
Is a problem.
extremely worrisome around here, is that
That was a big talk down there
Is
in
that-
Texas. Was the price of everything right
the
now.
price of everything.
Yep.
You know, everything is went up. Some worse than other, but even something as simple as, diesel fuel this year is double what it used to be last year, roughly. I saw that in the news.
Yeah, I think it's about, I think last year at this time it was like $1.52 a gallon gas and
Yep.
$2.80 diesel. But I mean, we think we have it bad here in the Midwest. I mean, in Texas, it was about the same. But you see some people out in the West Coast where it's $5 a gallon diesel and
crazy.
$4 a gallon gas. It's like, whew,
It's crazy.
pucker factor.
And it matters. I mean, it's
Yep.
not just the racers that feel that. You look at all the racetracks, all the equipment that's on the racetrack, all the operating expense for the promoter goes up as well.
Yep.
So we hear it a lot. We see it a lot. You see it on Facebook. Purses need to go up. Purses need to do this. Purses need to go up with the price of admission. There's a fine line to that. Unfortunately, when racetracks are raising their prices, they aren't just all stuffing it in their pocket.
No.
They're using
Insurance
those,
goes up, rent goes up,
everything.
Like you said,
Labor.
This time of the
Finding
year,
help.
promoters are getting ready to start work, in the Midwest, starting working on the racetracks. Well, what a lot of people don't understand is you've got 150 to 200 hours on a racetrack with a tractor, water trucks, road grader, packers.
That's before race day.
Yeah, that's
Correct.
even before you even open the gate. So
And all
there's
that stuff
already that
breaks.
big expense and just the fuel itself of what it's going to cost. But it's like we talked about down there in Texas with a couple promoters. Yeah, we can raise the purse, but it's going to be a $50 or $60 grandstand ticket to pay what they feel they need to, because by the time I raise it $2 or $3, I can't. I'm still trying to cover my cost to just open the doors.
Yep. It's pinching everybody.
Yeah.
Pinches us as a business, pinches all the racetracks as a business, pinching all the racers who are doing this for fun. That's the other thing. Speedy
hobby.
Bill said that to me one time. He said, Brett, I got a warehouse full of stuff that nobody needs. He said that to me one time when I was sitting in his office. And I've talked about it. Speedy Bill was a cool dude. He did a lot for this industry. And one of the most intimidating experiences for me ever, and still to this day, is sitting in his office and carrying on a conversation, because he was super, super intelligent. He had his finger on everything, not just in racing, but outside of racing. Extremely, extremely successful outside the racing industry as well as a businessman. Far more than the average individual that we will come across with. So, He said, I got a warehouse, a giant warehouse. If you've ever been to Speedway.
But if you think
huge.
about it, it's 100% truth.
Nobody needs any of it.
We don't need any of it.
And racers don't need to race. They want to race.
They
and
wanna
we want them
race.
to be able to afford that, and everything, inflation, everything across the board, everything pinches them. And I think it's always good for racers to know that we know that we don't live in a cave or under a rock here. And all that stuff is troublesome for all of us. Hopefully the people who have the ability to actually change these kinds of things and impact things like inflation. Hopefully the right decisions are made, and it gives us all relief, not just for racing, for the sake of racing, but for the sake of taking care of our families and everything else, you know? So it's going to be an interesting season, a very interesting season. We've had some very good signs, though.
Yes.
I thought the stock car count in Texas was respectable.
Oh, yes.
Given the weather, the forecast was not good right out of the gate down there, and I thought we're going to have
And
a
that was
repeat
in
last year.
advance.
What was, what was
at.
crazy is we
Henry
had
County was good.
we had 46 stock cars pre-entered into that deal.
Yeah.
44 of them showed up.
Yeah.
I mean, and we still had, I think 63 cars the first night and 51 the second night. And
Yep.
as we got to we knew Kennedale was going to be a big, with their 2-day show, we knew that was going to be a big one, but Mother Nature, of course, didn't
Wiped it
like
all
that.
out.
What kind of cake and ice cream did you have?
Cheesecake at Hy-Vee is what we bought. Ooh. I'm not a big cake guy.
Ice cream?
Generally speaking, I'm pretty plain when it comes to ice cream. I'm just a vanilla, maybe vanilla bean.
Okay.
Briars.
I do have one story to tell from Texas, and this one really chapped my hide. So the first night we're down there, we stop at the Whataburger, right? And they got the Dr. Pepper shake. So I'm like, I'll try this deal out. I try it out. Whew. It was good. So then we go to the Whataburger right down for where we're staying in the Fort Worth area. And we roll up to the deal, and I said, 3 Dr. Pepper large shakes. We're out of ice cream. I screamed back into... I'm at Whataburger, not McDonald's. Yeah, you're at Whataburger. We're out of ice cream, sir.
I was at Jimmy John's just yesterday, and they were out of bread. I'm like, how's that happen?
I don't know.
How do you run out of bread at a
When you're a
sandwich
sub
place?
shop.
But anyhow, so Nate says, wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
Quick talking, Jerry.
The whole ice cream deal still tears me up.
So we'll try to have another podcast next week.
Yeah, when
Maybe
we have
throw out some new
special
subjects.
guests.
Try to bring Carson in, introduce him. Try to bring Jim in,
Full.
reintroduce him.
You
Yeah.
could have like Jim and Carson. I could put them in the corner till it's their turn to talk.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we hope you enjoyed this one as much as you did the first one. We'll be back with guests. I'm excited for guests. It just won't be us 3 talking. We'll get some guests and get you introduced to Carson, and maybe Jim will have a story or 7, and we'll go from there.
Bring Dave in sometime, maybe talk some rules. But then hopefully we can start getting some racers on our podcast. That's our goal. At the end of the day, we would love to have race fans interacting with our racers and ask them fun questions, because you can only ask so many questions about you and me and Ryan. And
maybe one of these days we'll go live.
Ooh.
Live interaction.
Good times. All right.
All right. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back in a week or so. Thanks for joining us on the IMCA Dirtcast here on IMCA TV, IMCA Racing, and share it with your friends. Comment below what you like, what you don't like, and what you want to see.